What's poppin'? If you're new here, my name's Adam Taylor. I cover the Celtics for SB Nation and USA Today, and I have a growing newsletter called the Celtics Chronicle. You can subscribe by clicking the link in the description. It's free. Now, I want to talk about the Kristaps Porzingis news. So we all saw it yesterday. I had the email come through to my inbox. Suffered. I'm not even going to try and read what this is because there's too many medical words, and I'm not a doctor. But basically, it's a tendon strain by the looks of it, and he's going to be day to day. That's a big issue for the Celtics just in terms of trying to close out this series, how important Porzingis has been. The hope is that they can manage this injury over the next 2, 3, 4 games, and then they can treat it during the offseason. Of course, you don't want to risk aggravating that so then Porzingis ends up missing a significant chunk of the start of next season. You also don't want to sit him if it's not too much of a risk. So there are some risk and reward situations that you need to deal with here. Now, this was for sure thrown up on Twitter by some doctors, just showing where the injury is. So the gray area is where like the dislocation seems to have happened, and the blue part is where the actual injury is with the tendon popping in and out and how it can be risky. That is concerning considering Porzingis is playing as a big. He needs good lateral quickness. He needs to be able to get off his feet to contest shots around the rim. When you're asking him to pick and pop, he needs to be moving laterally. He needs to be able to run the court. So this is going to be concerning. Just how do you manage that and keep him safe? It's going to be tough. Obviously, the medical staff are going to be doing evaluation. One thing that is encouraging is a video that John Corrales from Locked On Celtics, and he used to be at Mass Live, now he's at Boston Sports Journal, shared. Not a limp in sight, walking perfectly fine. That's good news. No crutches, no boot, nothing really wrapping that foot, no limp. That's going to be important just because if he's walking okay, that's an encouraging sign that maybe he can play on a minutes restriction, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We've seen what he can do. Game one, he played around about 20 minutes and just went off. The Mavericks have no answer for him. He brings the big out of the paint. The Dallas is already struggling with the amount of scoring that's around the perimeter from the Celtics. They're really struggling to contain the drive and kick game of Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown's rim pressure is causing problems. Just having Porzingis in that rotation and being able to bring him off the bench and ask him to just run some delay sets at the top of the perimeter and be a DHO hub and be able to kind of just face up around the nail on the elbows and shoot over smaller defenders on the switch. That's given the Celtics so many opportunities to just cook that if you can get 15 minutes out of him on a really refined role where you're just a pick and pop guy, we're going to ask you to screen and roll into the elbow on that really short roll where you can just space up and shoot over. On defense, just get your hands up and be a deterrent around the rim. We're not asking you to be a shot blocker. We're not asking you to step up onto the perimeter. We're just going to funnel guys to you, and you're going to make them not want to shoot just because of the size that you have available. If you can do that for 10 to 15 minutes and there's no major risk of worsening the injury, then you do that because this is the NBA Finals. Porzingis has already said that he wants to play if he's allowed to play. I think the quote that came out was, unless I'm told I'm not allowed to play, then I'm going to play. In other words, you have to tell me that it's a risk to my health long term for me to agree not to get on the floor. Otherwise, I feel like I'm going to have to get on the floor. Obviously, Adrian Wojnarowski kind of put this out yesterday as well as Boston's Kristaps Porzingis told reporters he's determined and expects to continue to try and play with this tendon injury in the finals. For now, there's no indication he'll be ruled out and not permitted in game 3, sources said. I don't know who the sources are, but I like those sources. Those are friendly sources. We should be friends with those sources. Don't know if you agree. You want him playing. You need him playing. Like, this is the NBA Finals. He's been a major swing factor in this series. Can you win without him? Probably. Yeah, I think you can. Luke Cornett can come in and spell some minutes there. That's not going to be ideal dealing with the Luka Doncic pick and roll, the Kyrie Irving pick and roll. But at the same time, he's done well throughout the postseason. The Celtics have been undefeated on the road without Porzingis in that rotation for the majority of the playoffs. There's a world where you can still win. Now, it's better when there's Porzingis. The offense is better, defense is better. You can have KP just play deep drop and just funnel guys, but you can live without him if you really need to. Whether or not that's enough to win this game in 4, in 5, maybe, maybe not. The last thing you want to do is go to Dallas for 2 games and then come back to Boston all tied up. Ideally, you want to be splitting this road trip, especially with the way Porzingis is right now. You want to win 1, lose 1, come back to Boston, 3-1 up. Boom, we can close it out in 5. Obviously, we'd like to close it out in 4, but you have to kind of accept that this is the NBA Finals. Dallas isn't going to lie down. And it's a bit unrealistic to expect a sweep without Porzingis being fully healthy. It's probably unrealistic to expect a sweep with Porzingis being fully healthy, if we're being honest. But it's worse without him being 100% or at least 80%. Right now, it feels like he's probably going to be around that 45, 55% mark. And you do have to ask yourself, how does this look to other players around the league that may want to join the Celtics if we push KP too far? Now, he's probably going to need surgery at some point. I think that's a given at this point. You're going to need to be able to reattach that tendon or make sure it doesn't become a long-lasting issue for the rest of his career. It sucks as well. Like, a lot of the criticism when the Celtics went and added Porzingis in the summer was, hey, he's injury prone. He's not going to be healthy when you need him. And then throughout the regular season, everything seemed to go well. The Celtics had a plan to manage his minutes, to manage his workload. Him and Al Horford staggered back-to-backs. Horford would sit one night, Porzingis would sit the other. Not because there was an injury, but because you're trying to manage that and make sure he's healthy once the postseason comes. And then against Miami, of all teams, he gets hurt, don't see him for a few rounds, comes back in the finals, plays his fucking ass off in game 1. Game 2 plays well, but then picked up that injury, and now here we are, right? So it does suck because he's been such a feel-good factor for this team, such an impactful guy. One of the major additions of the summer. Obviously, Drew Holiday needs his flowers there too. So it does suck bad. Hopefully, there's still enough room there for them to strap it up, to put a lace on or maybe a boot and keep that tendon compact enough that he can sustain some minutes. And this is from Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe. So I'm going to read it out. I'm probably going to butcher this surgeon's name, so I apologize. Dr. Daniel Karatzi, an orthopedic surgeon at Cedars-Sinai and former Lakers consultant, told the Boston Globe he's seen an injury like Porzingis' once in 25 years. He was optimistic about Porzingis' ability to play. A lot of times the ankle and the tendon can be taped to allow to play. That's a bonus. There are even some braces that they can use that helps protect the tendon. I don't think it's something that's going to make it worse just by playing, especially if he's just running up and down the court, and even some lateral movements may, keyword there is may, be okay. This can be a repetitive issue if he has an awkward landing or with his foot in certain positions that causes subluxation of the tendon. I don't think, and this is important, I don't think it's a season-ending injury. It is day-to-day, and they have to reassess him. It's something they'll have to treat with either taping or bracing and then reassess to see if he's stable enough for him to play. That says that, yeah, he's probably going to play. Not going to play a lot, but he's probably going to play. Tape it up, keep it safe. Reassess during the off-season. I wouldn't be shocked if there's a surgery there. Cool. That's okay. We can deal with that. Like, there's a championship parade. You can go to your championship parade, lift your championship, get your ring fitted, go away and have surgery. Maybe come back a little bit later in the regular season next year. Cool. That's okay. That's fine. The question is, how much risk versus reward is there right now? Like, if Porzingis wants to play, you have to protect him from himself at some point and be like, hey, we understand you want to play, but this right now isn't the right time. There's some inflammation there, or there's some issues. We need to get a boot fitted, or we need to go and get a second opinion, whatever it may be, right? Now, if you spoke to everybody, you've got that second opinion, you found somebody that can get you the strapping or the boot that you need or whatever, cool. Go do your 10, 20 minutes, 10, 15, 20. Do what you can. Now, then the question becomes, is he impacting the game in a positive way? Is the 15 minutes he's giving you positive impact, right? Now, if he's struggling and the Mavericks are swinging the ball side to side, making him move laterally, and he's just getting cooked because they're finding angles because he just can't rotate quick enough, now you need to make a decision, right? Is Cornet going to be a better option there? Not is he the better player, but is he the better option given the limitations that Porzingis will be playing with, and how Dallas will try and exploit that? If the answer is yes, then you have to make that decision. If the answer is no, roll with it. But I do think that For the next few games, we're going to see a different big man, kind of a third string big. Maybe Mizuta pushes his rotation to 9 deep. I'm cool with that. I think that's okay. Like, there's no rule that says you can only stick to 7 or 8 guys in the postseason. It's just what people do. So maybe we see some Luke Cornett there. Maybe it's a Xavier Tillman because he can play up on the perimeter. The Celtics are trying really hard to guard one-on-one to take away that lob threat from Luka and whoever's playing as the 5. Tillman might be a better option there. He's more physical. He can tag roll men and he can stay in front of them. Cornette can contain ball handlers on the pick and roll quite well, and his lateral movement's good. He's also a true 7 foot, so he can match up size-wise with Derek Lively. There's some options that the Celtics have available. Porzingis being healthy is ideal. That's not the case right now. Whether he can play or not, we're going to find out later today. But there are options there, and at least we know that there's a possibility he will play and a possibility that the injury won't get worse between now and then. Personally, I'd really like to see him play on the floor because I just think he's been such a big part of this team throughout throughout the regular season, but didn't really get the opportunity he deserved during the postseason. Comes back, has his moment in the sun in game 1 of the NBA Finals, proves that he can hang at this level and that he is a genuine difference maker. And it seems like it's being taken away from him a little bit. So I'd like to see him be cleared to play and to be healthy enough to make a positive impact. We'll see. Game 3 today. Hopefully the Celtics can win it, add some more pressure onto the Mavericks, and then be 1 game away. And whatever happens in game 4 happens. But if you've got a 3-zip lead and you're heading back to Boston for game 5, you're an undefeated road team in the playoffs as well. Anything can happen between now and next week. I want Porzingis to be a part of it as much as possible. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, and I'll be back for a normal podcast at some point later today. Maybe it gets put out tomorrow. We'll see. Till then, thank you for stopping by. Peace.